Women are not small men. Women have different hormones than men. Women who are a certain age, let's say over 40, are not going to get the same results as someone who's training a certain way who's 30. As we age, we burn fat differently. And maybe you didn't know this, but as we age, women lose muscle way faster than men. What you need to train and how you need to train changes as we age. And I know that personally because I've had to change a lot of things. And by opening up my mind and listening to the experts and letting go of old habits, letting go of beliefs I had around certain exercises that I need to do, by letting go of those things and focusing on what really matters, like the important exercises, I've been able to transform my body. Whether you're just getting into working out for like the first time ever in your life, it doesn't matter whether it's been years since you exercise and you feel like your body has turned to mush, or you've been exercising a lot, you just aren't seeing results. This episode is for you. Let's get to it. Now, many people have come to know me, or maybe you've searched my name and that's how you found this episode. Maybe because you did one of my workouts. Like I did tons of infomercials from like 2004 to 2020. You might have been up late one night and caught one of my cardio infomercials. Like I was famous for doing high impact, intense cardio, things like Turbo Kick, Turbo Fire, Chalene Extreme. Chalene Extreme wasn't, well, there were some parts that were pretty extreme. I was a cardio queen. And I think probably most of us were during the 2000s and the 90s. Chasing cardio is one of the things I had to change. So the very first exercise that I want to highly recommend to you is embracing zone 2 cardio. Specifically, I love walking. Now, zone 2 cardio is just let me just break this down for you in layman's terms. I hear people talking about zone 2 cardio all the time. In fact, I've done a full episode breaking down what zone 2 cardio is, but let me just give you the cliff notes. Zone 2 cardio basically means anything you're doing at an intensity that's lower, that you could maintain it for an hour, or maybe even not that you have to do it for an hour and a half, but like you don't feel like you're dying. You're like, okay, I could keep doing this. I don't want to keep talking, but I could if I had to. So it's anything where you're not kicking your own butt. And I know my cardio workout, like my kickboxing classes, they were an hour long, but I was dying the entire time and pouring with sweat. And I knew I was beating up my body, and that creates inflammation. It also spikes your cortisol. It also is very hard on your joints. It's hard on your body. It's hard to get yourself psyched up to do it. And the good news is walking is better for you, for most of you, not everybody. Like, am I saying you should never do jumping? Absolutely not. If you can, in fact, we're going to talk about jumping later in this episode. What I'm trying to recommend is if you're now in a state where you're like, I just need to burn fat, like where did this body fat come from, which happens as we age, then I want to recommend something that, number one, anyone can do. It doesn't require any special equipment. In fact, it more often than not is going to get you outside in the sunshine, getting some vitamin D. Being outside in the fresh air does something to our spirit and our soul and our nervous system. Like we're meant to reconnect with nature. And that's just hard to do inside of a gym. Even when it's snowing or raining, like just being outside in nature is so healing. And it just has a profound effect on our nervous system. It reduces our cortisol. If we're talking about changing your body, then we need to talk about things that keep your nervous system in check, that don't spike your cortisol, that don't spike your adrenals, that don't cause damage to your system such that you are constantly inflamed. Because inflammation makes us hold on to water. When we're inflamed, the body's systemically inflamed. It thinks it's under attack, and it just wreaks havoc on our hormones. So the first thing I want to suggest that you do is just start walking. And again, if you're just getting started with exercise in general, how long should you walk? As long as you can, where you're not overdoing it. Just with everything, start gradually. Go 10 minutes today. And make it your goal the next day to do 12 and the next day to do 15. And as long as you feel good, then you're doing great. How fast should you walk? It's different for everyone. Depends on how fit you are. You want to be walking at a pace that is a little bit challenging, like you're breathy, but you could definitely carry on a conversation. So if you're brand new, that might be slower than someone who's been walking for a while. If you've been walking for a while and you're like, I don't know, I feel like I need to go back to my intense cardio, add intensity by adding a weighted vest or walking faster or adding an incline if you are on a treadmill or just picking terrain that's a little bit more intense. The second exercise I have for you is actually just a sequence of exercises. And this is so, so important. And I can tell you that I personally stopped doing any type of mobility training for about 3 years. I don't know how. I just got out of the habit. Like there's only so much time, right, in our days. And I used to think that like if I'm not doing an hour of pyo or an hour of yoga or an hour of stretching, then like what's the point? And I would think to myself, okay, I'll do stretching on Wednesday or I'll do it on Sunday. And I just never found myself motivated to do like a whole hour of it. So what I started doing, and this is what I would like to recommend to you, is to just begin before I go for a walk or before I start strength training. I start with a mobility sequence. And I'm going to share with you my mobility sequence. And I'm going to tell you this. If you're brand new, it's going to freak you out. You're going to be like, what? I can't do that. Listen, you got to start somewhere. So I'm going to also show you a beginner level mobility series. And this less than 5 minutes. So simple. So it feels so good. And one of the main objectives is to get your body warm. Number one. Number two, loosen up your joints. And number three, to help get you flexible again. Literally, we have to learn that our bodies were meant to allow our knees to go over our toes, to be able to sit on the floor, to squat, to bring our butt all the way to our heels and like sit and squat. You know the way you see like little kids just carrying on a conversation and not so much here in the West, but definitely in the East, you see that's just a normal traditional way of sitting and relaxing. It opens up the hips. It opens up the knees. It keeps the ankles very flexible. All of these things are so important. And, you know, you've heard that phrase before. If you don't use it, then you lose it. Now, be sure to stay tuned because at the end of this episode, I'm going to walk you through visually so you can see what a beginner mobility series looks like. And I'll also show you my advanced series. But the reason why everyone needs to be working on mobility, even just for 5 minutes, 3 times a week, is because number one, it lubricates your joints. And having mobility, having a little bit of flexibility and just functional flexibility and the mobility that you need to perform exercises the right way is the foundation of training. Like if you want to get good results and you don't have range of motion, like you can't even go deep on your squats, you don't have the ability to fully extend your joints. If everything hurts, if everything's stiff, you're never going to see the kind of results that you want to. And like that's the vanity side of things. But let's also talk about the practical side of things. Do you want to have people walking around, like having to help you up out of the chair? Someone come into the bathroom to lift you up off of the commode? Like it's about independence. It's about being able to get up on your toes and reach something very high up on the shelf. It's about being able to squat down easily and not wonder if something's coming around to help you up from that position. It's about counterbalancing the decline in our hormones. So as estrogen declines for women, that is why you wake up one day, I bet this happened to you, and you're like, why does everything hurt? Oh my gosh, why do I feel so stiff and old? Why do I walk like an old lady for the first 20 minutes of my life, for the first hour of my life? When we work on our mobility and flexibility, it improves our posture. It improves the way that we stand. It improves our confidence. It improves our ability to avoid injuries. Like, I don't know about you, but I want to train and not have to take weeks and weeks off because I've injured myself. Here's what I want you to keep in mind when it comes to your mobility series. You can make up your own. There's no special rules. Like I'm going to show you mine, but your body's going to tell you what it's craving, like what it needs. Like right now, roll your ankles. Do your ankles feel stiff? Hug your knee up into your chest. Does that feel good? Then do it 10 times. Does squatting to a certain depth feel like, okay, that's a good relief? Or is it painful? If it's painful, then we want to modify these things. If you really need to start at beginner level, you can start by lying on your bed. Just lay on your back on your bed and just circle your ankles around. Just do some things that feel good. Opening up the chest, stretching your arms up above your head, opening up the hips, just things that your body is trying to tell you, I need to do this. We're not meant to sit hunched over our phones or hunched over our computers for hours, and we have to combat that with just a little bit of mobility training, just 3 times a week. You don't need to do a full hour. If you want to, you can, but it's the regularity that's going to make a huge difference. And don't be afraid to take your knees out over your toes. I want to publicly apologize here and now. You know, when what was this, like Cher with the hair? When we know better, we do better, right? And when I was making exercise videos, I heard every other fitness instructor say, oh, be careful, watch your knees, never take your knees out over your toes. I never questioned that. I just heard all the other fitness professionals saying that. So I said it too. And then I made tens of thousands of exercise videos for other fitness instructors. And I said that. So they said that. And now we know better. Our knees are actually meant to go out over our toes. And we've got to create that flexion at our ankle, which keeps our Achilles and our calves and our lower extremities flexible and supple. All right, moving on to the next one. By the way, I haven't updated you lately. This is my favorite little mocktail. It's a apple cider vinegar sparkling with elderberry, and then I mix in some sugar-free ginger beer, and then these are jalapenos. What? Yeah, it's nice and spicy. I like it spicy. So yeah, on July 17th, it will be a year since I had an alcoholic beverage intentionally. I had one by accident. I ordered a mocktail, and I ordered a mocktail margarita. And I said to the waitress, I'm like, this is the best mocktail I've ever had. It is so good. It literally tastes like it's got tequila in it or something. It is so good. And then after like the third time I raved to the waitress, she's like, did you order a mocktail? I'm like, I thought I did. She's like, oh, that has alcohol in it. I'm like, it's fine. I'll be fine. Anyway, and other than that, in the last year, I gave up alcohol and I did a whole episode on it. I'm not saying you have to, but if it's something you're thinking about just evaluating your relationship with alcohol, that's all I was doing. I'm not saying I'll never drink again. Obviously, like I was excited that I had that margarita and it was no big deal. You know what I mean? I was excited that the next day I wasn't like, oh, I need more. You know what I mean? I just wasn't sure. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, if you want to check out that episode, I'll link to it below. I know I haven't updated you in a while, so I wanted to share that with you. Let's get on to the next exercise, which is push-ups. Now, I don't know about you, but I hated push-ups growing up because I remember there was like a PE test or something, and I always sucked at doing push-ups. I had very poor upper body strength. So if we aren't good at something, we hate doing it. That's to be expected. I want you to know that you don't have to do push-ups the way you did in PE class. You can do them at an incline against a wall. You want to start where you are. You don't have to start by doing push-ups in a weighted vest, in high heels, with hair that is as big as it gets. You don't have to do that. That's outrageous. No, just start wherever you are. Start if your strength only allows you to lean against a wall and do full range of motion. That's what I want. That full range of motion. Look at that little baby muscle right there. When we're doing push-ups, here's what's happening. We're actually strengthening our body to push ourselves up out of bed, to push ourselves up off the floor, to push somebody away, to push the plate away. We're strengthening our upper body. We're also strengthening our pelvic floor. And as we lose hormone production, the way we did when we were younger, it impacts our pelvic floor. So that's where you'll find you'll sneeze suddenly and you're like, oh, we just had a little situation. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole thing. It strengthens your core. I don't know about you, but like I can do a plank for forever. I get bored before I run out of strength. I need to be moving. And so basically a push-up is a moving plank, but it's going to strengthen your entire shoulder girdle. It's going to strengthen your chest, your biceps, your back, your abs without having to do crunches. So we're going to start by doing them on an incline against the wall. Eventually, you're going to be able to go to your knees. The idea here is I want you thinking about full range of motion. And this is a really important thing that I want you to apply to every single type of exercise. Like even when I've had, for example, recently I've had quite a setback with my strength. And my strength started regressing. And I learned it was because of mold exposure that I had. And it really affected my strength. So I kept thinking to myself, I don't want to go down in weight. It's like an ego thing. I don't want to lift less weight. So I just won't go as deep. But the truth of the matter is that's ego. And what's more important is full range of motion with less resistance. So if you can't do push-ups on your knees on the floor, then I want you to do full range of motion against a wall and just keep taking your feet back further and further so you can still do full range of motion. Then we're going to drop to our knees and we're going to, even if we can only just lower ourselves down, great. And then eventually you can lower yourself down and push yourself up and do 1. And then eventually you'll be able to do 2, and just add it to your to-do list. Like put a reminder in your phone. And when that alarm goes off, do your push-ups, whether it's 10 against the wall or 10 on your knees or eventually 10 on your toes. But being able to do a series of push-ups is a wonderful goal. And it's one that you're going to feel so good once you master. It's like anything. It's just a skill. Girlfriend, don't discount your ability to get stronger at any age. 70 years old, 80 years old. Yeah, you. I had a personal training client. She was 83 years old. It was remarkable how strong this woman got. You can do it too. Next on my list of exercises is the row. Now, let's talk about proper form with row. Actually, before we talk about proper form, let's talk about why. I've noticed, I'm sure you have too, if your parents are still alive, take a look at their posture. I don't know if you ever do this, but like I always give my parents like a shoulder massage. And I just noticed like my dad has lost his muscles there. And my mom, I'm like, Mom, pull your shoulders back, pull your shoulders back. And I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, if you catch me slouching, I need you to tell me, because it's one of those things that just makes you look old and it makes you look frumpy when you've got, and a lot of us just have this like tech neck because we're on our phones all the time. So I want you to stand up tall and pull your shoulder blades back. So think about where your scapulas are, right? Your shoulder blades. Think about them coming together, rolling down your back, then towards your spine or towards your back pockets. Imagine that that's where your scapulas belong, that there's strings tied to the little point at the bottom of your scapulas and they're being pulled down and back. Just look at yourself in the mirror. Next time you see yourself in a reflection, just take note of if you look taller, thinner, stronger, and older. If you stand up taller, and younger, you don't want to look older. You stand up taller and you pull your shoulders down away from your ears and then towards your hips, towards your glutes, okay? When you're doing a row, what you're doing is strengthening all of those muscles so that they hold you in that position without you having to remind yourself. Have you ever seen a gymnast, a competitive gymnast with poor posture? It's impossible because their muscles are pulling their scapulas down and lifting their chest up. That's where you want to be. In order to do that, you want to practice doing rows. Here's another thing I want to say about rows. Every time I've seen a woman do rows, I think to myself, she doesn't know she can lift probably 25% more weight than what she's doing. Like you are so, because we open doors, we lift bags, we carry things, like your lat muscles are so strong you don't even realize it. So go heavier, but do remember this, shoulders down away from your ear. So we're not doing a shrug. We're not trying to develop our, what are these? I suddenly forgot. What are they called? Dang it. That's terrible. I got to remember. Stand by. I don't know what they're called because I never worked them. What is the neck muscle that connects from your shoulder to your neck that makes guys look like they don't have a neck? I always talk to ChatGPT. Oh my gosh. Trapezius muscles. I forgot it because I never trained my trapezius muscles because I don't want a big neck. That's one of those things, like women, if we're training for aesthetics and we're training for longevity, there's certain things that we just don't need to train that guys like to train. I don't know too many ladies who are like, I really wish I had a thicker neck. Said no one. Said no female ever. Okay, so again, shoulders down away from our ears, and we want to start the movement, not with your arm. Start the movement. Think about this. Okay, so extend your arm out wherever you are right now. Even if you're not watching this video, just do me a favor. Extend your arm all the way out. Now, don't bend your elbow. But what I want you to do is pull your scapula into your spine without bending your elbow. Okay, so watch. I'm not bending my arm. I'm moving my rhomboids back. So that's where the movement starts. And then we squeeze by pulling the elbow back toward the spine and then release. That movement initiates those very small muscles that wrap around our back, the rhomboids, the lats, and it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you stand taller. And as an extra added bonus, it's going to give you a nice, sculpted, beautiful back. And that's just one of the areas as women, as we age, it's like suddenly that's where fat shows up. Now, we can't spot reduce by doing rows, but what we can do is put muscle there. And when we've got more muscle, we're burning fat. The last thing I want to say about this exercise, the row, is that I find I'm far stronger. My back strength is stronger than my grip strength. So in order for me to hold a weight that's heavy enough, like it's so heavy, that dumbbell, it like hurts my palm. So I will use straps, or I highly recommend just using a machine or bands. You can get more resistance with bands than you typically can by holding a dumbbell that's so heavy it feels like it's breaking your hand. By the way, if I haven't already, I want to say thank you so much for those of you who subscribed when you watched my last video. Like, dude, you're like the coolest. And if you happen to be watching right now and you're not subscribed, I'd like to invite you to become one of the cool kids. Make sure you're subscribed. It's free and it results in good parking lot karma. By that, I mean, next time you pull into a like really busy place and you're late and you're looking for a spot, you're going to be like, oh my God, there's a spot up front. And you're going to know it's because you subscribed to the Chalene Show. Moving on to squats. Again, start where you are. So if at the moment you're not able to do a squat with full range of motion, that's the goal. I don't need you to add weight. I need you to be able to do a squat with full range of motion where you're able to take your hips below, just slightly below 90 degrees. That would be ideal without pain, where your knees are going slightly forward. It just feels very natural. Now remember this, there is no perfect identical way that everyone's supposed to be doing a squat. So if you ever work with a trainer and they're like, oh, no, I need your chest up more or your butt back, and that doesn't, like you don't feel it in your glutes, just remember our lever length. Like, so if you have a really long femur and a short tibia, that's going to change the position of your upper body. Just maintain a neutral spine. That's key. Number one. And number two is go as deep as you can, assisting yourself with a chair. And once you can do 10 squats, body weight, just using your body weight with your hand on a chair, then the next step is to do 10 body weight squats without the chair. Then the next step is to do 10 body weight squats and see if you can go below parallel. And eventually, let's see if you can do 10 body weight squats and touch your booty to the backs of your calves. I mean, I couldn't do that 3 or 4 years ago. And now because I do it at least 3 times a week, it's easy and it feels great. And it's something that when I'm having a day where I can't get to the gym or I've got to be sitting for a prolonged period of time, like I'm in a conference or I'm traveling, I will excuse myself and I'll do 10 body weight squats. There's amazing research that suggests, and I'm going to link it below the show notes, that 10 body weight squats once an hour can be the equivalent in terms of how to regulate your blood sugar to a 30-minute zone 2 power walk. You know, don't think to yourself, well, if I can't do a full workout, then I shouldn't do anything. No, you should still be doing something. Okay. But I want to add on to the squats. The biggest difference for squats, once I got there and you know, start where you are, but eventually I want you to add weight. And I want that weight up on your shoulders. And that weight on my shoulders, first of all, it makes the squats so much harder. So I have to go lighter typically. But that pressure on my skeletal system tells my bones to start remodeling. It signals to our brain to create stronger bones. I was diagnosed with osteopenia in, well, I don't know what year it was, but let's see, I can't do math, but it was probably 4 years ago now, 5 years ago now. And I've since reversed it. One of the things, because when I was diagnosed, I was like, how is that possible? I lift all the time. I take supplements. I'm doing all the things. Like, how is this possible? You know, it's so frustrating. And I learned, first of all, there's a piece of it that's genetic. That's fine. But you can outrun your genetics. You absolutely can. That's called epigenetics. And so what I had to start doing was start taking magnesium. Number one. Quality magnesium. I will link to the one I take below. I talk about it all the time. It's from Bioptimizer. Shout out to Bioptimizer. I take it in a powder form. That, and I started wearing a weighted vest a couple times a week. Not crazy. And I changed the way I lift. I started focusing on exercises that loaded my skeletal system, meaning I'm putting pressure. That's what a weighted vest does. It puts pressure on your skeletal system. I guess you could put a kid around your back and walk around. Who's got a kid walking? Like grandkid? I don't know, maybe. But the point is you want weight on you because that weight tells your skeletal system to make stronger bones. And you don't want weak bones. My friend, Dr. Vonda Wright, spoke at my event called Camp Be More. It is an event just for women over 40 who are experiencing hormone decline, and they want all the answers from the best experts all in at one event. We're going to do it again in 2026. So quick shout out, campbemore.com. Get on the wait list. In fact, we're probably going to open up registration very soon. But anyways, I want to share with you this clip from Dr. Vonda Wright, where she talks about this is like a bonus tip. Doing this will help you to improve your bone density. And it's as simple as hopping on one leg.
Most of us do not break and then fall. Most of us will fall and then break. So if you do not have a balanced practice in your workout, now's the time. The next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna bash your bones. We need to jump about 50 times a day. We're not gonna land softly like we would have if we were dancers, right? We need to do this. We need to jar our bones. So we're gonna jump 50 times. We're gonna start on both legs. And then we're gonna do 20 on one leg and 20 on the other every day. We must jump 50 times to bash our bones. And if your knees hurt, you can do it in a trampoline, or you can do it in a pool. You save your Starbucks money and you go spend $99 on a DEXA scan.
Okay, so this is crazy. After Dr. Vonda spoke at Camp Be More, everybody started buzzing about DEXA scans. She talked about how critical it is for women over 40 to have a DEXA scan, and that it's like super simple. It's very fast, very easy. You just go in this little machine. It's how I discovered that I had osteopenia. If I didn't have that, I would never have known. It also helps you to know like what your body fat is. And it's a screening that your doctor can order for you or should order for you. And a lot of people are struggling with physicians or clinicians who don't understand how important it is to do more than just screening for our hormones, but to screen for stress and inflammation and bone density, all of these things. We're not just like one little, like all of these things impact our longevity, impact our wellness as we age. So solution for you, MIDI Health. I've talked about them before when it comes to testing for your hormones. They are now one of the first companies in the nation that's providing an age well visit. This is a visit where they're not just going to look at your hormones. They're going to look at your stress. They're going to look at your inflammation. They're going to order you a DEXA scan if you need one. This is how you're going to figure out what's going on overall, your whole system. They can order cancer screening for your heart health, bone density, body fat, your hormones, like all of those things. You want to know what type of test to have. And if you want to work with a clinician who's specifically trained in women's health as we age, I highly recommend you reach out to MIDI. They are available in all 50 states. They accept insurance. It's a company that I use. It's a company I'm a huge fan of because it's solving so many problems. It's helping so many women get the answers that they deserve. You don't have to wait for permission to start to feel amazing again. You deserve to have answers. You deserve to have the tests that you need to know what's going on so you can make the changes you need to make. This is the checkup that you need. And it's so great to work with clinicians who you don't have to like explain yourself or beg for the right type of tests. So what are you waiting for? Get your checkup by going to Chalene.com/checkup. And there you'll learn more about MIDI, how it works, and it's available in your state. You can find out if, in fact, your insurance is covered as well. All you have to do is go to Chalene.com/checkup. And that link will be below in our show description as well. Again, it's Chalene.com/checkup. These last two exercises are a bit more advanced and they're going to look more advanced, but I'm telling you what, they're worth the effort because these exercises will help sculpt your hamstrings and booties. These two exercises, I think, have completely transformed my lower body. I used to have a lot more cellulite. I mean, every woman has cellulite. Let's be honest. But I just would never be caught dead in a bathing suit. I never wanted to wear shorts ever, ever, ever. And I don't know if I'm just like Delulu now, or my husband says, no, like you have completely different legs. I think I do. And really it's the Bulgarian split squat. So what is that? That is when you have one leg forward and one leg back up on an elevated surface. You can call it a split lunge. It's basically like one leg is forward, one leg is back. So you're forced to put all of your weight forward. Now, when you're just learning this, I want you to pull a chair next to you and just use your body weight. All right? Use your body weight. You press up on that chair as much as you need to, but eventually you're going to be able to do that split lunge without using the chair. Then eventually I want you to add just like a 10-pound dumbbell up on your shoulder. If you hang that dumbbell down at your side, that's awesome too, but it is easier. And I'm going to be honest, there's some days where I'm like, I don't care about my bone density today. I can't. It's so hard putting it up on your shoulder, but you do get great results, and it shapes the hamstrings and the glutes like no other. So there's this guy I follow on Instagram. His name is Brett Contreras. I hope he sees this video. I love him. You guys follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube. This guy knows his stuff. He's a PhD. His information is so sound. He's a guy who trains a lot of females, but he's like not creepy at all, in my opinion. And he knows lower body. He knows how to build the booty. And he's a big fan of the Bulgarian split squat. Check it out. It allows you to get that really deep glute activation. So if you're trying to get a rounder butt, which most women are, because as you start to lose muscle, you lose that booty. And that's the thing that makes us look and feel youthful. It's what shapes our bodies when we're wearing clothes. And yeah, it's an aesthetic thing, but it's also a functional thing. Like having strong glutes, it gives you the power that you need when you're stepping up. When you're stepping up into a vehicle or stepping down off of a deck, you need this functional strength. And having strong glutes is one of the best ways to improve your metabolism. So the Bulgarian split squat. But the next one, the last one that I want to share with you today is the deadlift. The reason why I love deadlift is because it targets your glutes, your quads, your lower back, your core, your hamstrings, like everything from the waist down. And that's where like 65% of your muscle is. And so that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in terms of like boosting your metabolism. Like we have to stop chasing cardio. If there's one thing you take away from this series, it is I'm not talking about cardio exercises. The exercises that are really going to change your body are the ones that help you to develop metabolic flexibility, improving the amount of muscle that you have, burning off fat with the zone 2 walking or zone 2 exercise. The deadlift strengthens your posterior chain. In other words, the backside. And it's the backside of your body that is so important as you age. This is the longevity chain. It teaches you how to hinge. Now, to do a deadlift proper, I want you to learn it without weights. You're seeing me demonstrate a proper deadlift. You want to notice that my spine is neutral. I've got a slight bend in my knees, and you don't have to go low. In fact, if you go too low, you're going to start to feel like your hamstrings are pulling really tight, especially if you don't have that mobility and flexibility. And what I see a lot of women do is they think they have to go lower, so they tend to round their back. And that's where you can get injured, number one. And number two, now you're not targeting the muscles that you intended to. So as with other exercises, I said the goal is to, do full range of motion. The same is true for a deadlift, but that doesn't mean your full range of motion is going to match mine. It's full range of motion based on where you are today. It's about how low you're able to bring your chest down while still maintaining that neutral spine and still feeling the exercise in your glutes and hamstrings. When I'm doing this deadlift, I'm telling myself, push your butt towards the back of the room. I'm keeping the weights very close to my legs. I'm letting them just slide down my shins. At the same time, I'm simultaneously taking my booty towards the back of the room. I'm keeping pressure on the heels of my feet. I'm keeping my core really tight, and I'm making sure I maintain that neutral spine. If I go a little too low and I start to feel like, a little bit in my back, or I start to feel like a pull in my hamstrings, then I know I'm at my range of motion. Now I want to walk you through a beginner mobility series. This is where I want you to start. Yes, I'm dressed inappropriately for this, but what's new? First, you want to begin with chair-assisted deep squats with your feet shoulder-width apart, toes slightly turned out, basically what's natural, like your natural stance. Keep your hand lightly on top of the chair, and you just slowly lower your hips down. And as with everything, do a couple. As your body starts to warm up, then you're going to start to be able to go lower and a little bit lower. And you're going to know where it's like, okay, that's plenty. And keep your chest lifted. Pause at the bottom if you can, just for a beat. But when you're pausing, make sure that your spine is neutral. Don't tuck your tailbone under. You want to maintain that neutral spine. Next, I want you to stand next to the chair, but I don't want you to touch it unless you need to, unless you start to lose your balance. What I'd like for you to do is pull one leg at a time up into your chest. Give it a quick hug and then switch and do the other leg. Eventually, you're going to be able to do the whole thing and you're going to be able to hold each knee in at your chest for a second, maybe even circle your ankles around. Again, 5 per leg. You can alternate or you can do 5 and then switch. Next, I just want you to do hip circles. Very simple, very sexy, very Elvis-like. You're just going to circle your hips around. Full range of motion. All you're doing here is loosening up your hips. This is going to improve your range of motion. It helps to put synovial fluid in your hips. Your feet are shoulder width apart, and you're just circling your hips around like you're going to circle 5 times in one direction and then circle 5 times in the opposite direction. When you do that, I want you to actually feel how your weight shifts from one leg to the other. And another thing you can do just as a little extra added bonus is now just shift your hips all the way to one side and hold, and then shift to the opposite side and hold. This is beginner stuff here, but I bet it feels really good. Then we're going to do standing cat-cow. This is for your spinal mobility. All you're going to do, again, you can use a chair if you need to. You can put your hands on the chair. I am going to encourage you to put your hands on the tops of your thighs. And all you're doing with your feet shoulder width apart is rounding your back up and then extending your spine. Rounding your back up and extending your spine. You'll do that 5-10 times. Next, I want you to do a reverse lunge. So again, holding onto the chair if you'd like to. Step back with one leg. The opposite leg is standing forward, and you're going to bend the front knee. The back leg, I want that leg almost straight, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to push your hips forward so that you're getting a stretch in the front of your hip flexor. This one is fantastic because it opens up the hip flexors and it improves your knee mobility. As an extra added bonus, when you're comfortable, I want you to bend the front knee even more where you're getting a really nice deep angle at your ankle. This is allowing your knee to go forward slightly. Yes, over the toes. It's okay. No one's going to die. As long as that feels comfortable, hold it for 3 seconds and then move on. I would say like 5 reps per leg. Then the last one is you're going to sit down in that chair and you're just going to rotate. It's like a seated spinal twist. You're going to sit on the chair with your feet shoulder width apart, spine nice and tall. Then with your left hand on top of your right knee, place your right hand behind you on the seat and rotate. Take a deep breath in, exhale, and lengthen. Hold for a few breaths and then switch and do the other side. I love this one because I always get a crack, 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 pop, pop, pop. I love that feeling. This really helps with spinal mobility. Now, I don't want you to crank so hard that it hurts. Just nice and slow. Do it gradually. And then lastly, while you're seated, why not? Just pull that knee up into your chest, circle the ankles around, work on getting that little bit of dorsiflexion where you're extending your foot, pointing your toe down and then flexing as hard as you can. If you want, you can even extend the legs out and do that same thing. That's it. So simple. Start there and then eventually you can move on to the more advanced series. I would love to help you move beyond some of these basics and actually design a program that helps you to develop progressive overload, meaning help you get much stronger and know what you should be eating in order to fuel your body and to transform your body. I do that inside a program called Phase It. So you can learn more by clicking the link below. In the meantime, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I love you. I love you. I mean it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.